producer Todd Black, and producer Katia Washington. All right, one more time, y'all, for this film. Everybody. I'm going to start with you. I read an interview where you said your dad learned the difference between making a film and being a filmmaker from you. What do you think that means?
Okay. First of all, good to see you. Thank you for seeing the movie and staying for the conversation. I'm not sure. I'm moved by it because I feel like sometimes you do something and it's not necessarily your identity. You're doing it because you're supposed to do it, somebody told you to do it. Some people go to school like that. I wanted to make my parents proud. I went to college. And there's sometimes you do something and it's part of your purpose. There's something greater than you that's putting you on this divine path to do that thing and to maybe touch somebody or to engage your own purpose in that way. And so I guess when I think about that now, that's what I'm choosing to believe that means, is that there's some greater purpose to me making a film, and maybe through that process, I'll learn something about myself that'll inspire somebody else, or they'll see the film and think of their family or something about themselves that will push them to do something good for somebody else.
So Mr. Denzel Washington, as a custodian of August Wilson's work and your commitment to the Century Cycle, what has struck you the most in how Malcolm and John David have embodied August Wilson's words?
Wow. Well, I've said it before, watching, and I'm not saying it because he's my son, but watching my son make a film, I understood that there's a difference between making films and being a filmmaker. I've made a couple of films as a director, but my son's actually a filmmaker, and it's a difference. I learned that there's a difference.
What is that difference?
Preparation. Preparation. It's so many things, so many little things, a million little things.
A million little things. Okay, great. This is for Todd, Katia, and Malcolm. How do you approach the piano lesson with a clean slate? Because your brother and your father, your uncles did this wonderful work on Broadway, but how did you approach it clean? Maybe we start with Todd or Katia.
I think we're lucky because we didn't have to approach it clean. I think we got to build upon what was given to us and what our amazing cast and crew had about it already. I think that's part of the advantage.
I think for me, it was getting to listen to Malcolm's vision, which was completely fresh for me. And I remember when Denzel called me and we went to lunch and he said, you need to see this little clip that Malcolm's put together. He has an idea on how to do piano lesson. I'm like, tell me. And he goes, you just need to see this and you need to read kind of what he's been thinking. And so I went into it pretty blinded. And I had seen Malcolm's other things from AFI, which were very impressive. And I've known him since he was in his mother's stomach. So it was pretty cool to go into it really fresh. And Katia had an advantage and Denzel had an advantage that I didn't have. And then I got to see it, and it was a whole other vision that I got to see clearly and uniquely. And it kind of blew me away. It was very cinematic. It was beautiful storytelling. And he was adding things to the play that I hadn't even thought of before when I read it. So I was really surprised and happy, and it was very raw for me. And I knew that as Denzel said, he was a real filmmaker. And you could tell early on from the material that he was presenting to us on how he wanted to do it. And then I remember getting a call from our executive at Netflix after she met with him. Katia and Denzel and I asked her to meet with him and see if she wanted to make the movie with him, because it was still a job that was up for somebody. And she met with him and she called us and she's like, I am blown away by his vision and I want him to direct this. So it was pretty great to hear this, for me, a brand new vision of it.
I'm curious to stay with you for a second, because you were not that involved with it, like you said, you kind of had your hands distance. What was the thing that you told Malcolm and the producers, and what would help make this cinematic?
How long do you have? Honestly, he just saw it in a way that Denzel and Katia and I, because we had been involved in Fences, obviously, and in Ma Rainey, which we're super proud about both those films. But Malcolm brought, I never like to use the word opening it up, but he was very, he had a really literate way of making it cinematic and telling the whole ghost story, which is in the play to a point, but it's only just to a point. And there's only so much you can do on stage, and they did it beautifully on stage. But he had a way of telling it that was so cinematic. And the three of us really wanted to make sure that we were able to, build on each movie and pay the respect of August Wilson as the playwright, and at the same time service the film as a film cinematically. And he was able to do that in the way he told us he wanted to. And I think he pulled it off beautifully.
It's actually one of my favorite parts, and I'm curious, Malcolm, what were the notes, if you can be honest? Because, for Black folklore, but really Black life, we view like waking spirits, laying of hands, blessing of houses, very real. Like, it's a very real thing. I know for my family. How did you want to make sure that this was done authentically?
Yeah, there's such a great tradition of spiritual practice in our culture, and these things tell the story of our time in America, where there's spiritual practice that was brought over from Africa. There's the kind of Black Southern Christian tradition that many of us were raised in. And often, as Black Americans, we have to reconcile these two things. And there's certain ritual or superstition that's been carried through and pokes through our own spirituality. And with the end of the film, I knew that I wanted to reconcile these ideas for myself and for the characters in the story, because that's in the story itself. It's inherent to Mr. Wilson's work. It's something that he's wrestled with in his work. So I knew that the end was going to come through belief and spirit. And when I went on that journey, I learned that within all of these things, that these things live in ourselves, and our connection to our ancestors is that bind between that, and that there's so much power in their stories and how much they've endured, and the joy as well as the trauma that they've carried and passed down to us. So that kind of became the triangle, the prism that we viewed the ending into, and that's where we wanted to get to.
To the cast, and especially those who were on the stage adaptation, what cinematic elements were you proud to see come alive on the screen that was kind of limited with the stage?
Oh, it's the interiority, which is the richest thing. It's getting to witness the memory, getting to be, in the space of Boy Willie with his father, getting to see the defiance, the resistance that he enacted, to see what they're fighting over, to see what Bernice recalls, why she is in such a stasis. That is the love of her life, who is, and to see the mother, right? To see that movement, that lineage of
what is causing this conflict? It is this loss, it is this grief, it is this justice seeking, it is this care for these ancestral folks who are seeking to speak through them, which must move through the piano first. And because they are in this chasm, this moment, the piano is that speaker box for them to come to each other and to be turned inside out within each other in the conflict and to become something new. We gotta play the new version.
How many people ain't ever heard that damn word?
If y'all don't put y'all hands up.
Bullshit.
Now, I didn't hit you with transmogrification. We did that one.
I think these are HBCU words. John, David, and Mr. Jackson, what would you say, or what cinematic elements did you love to see come to life?
The land that he's talking about, that his ancestors were sold and bought for. Texture of that, like him in the sort of the passing of the lesson of seeing his father, hold the land, and then seeing him. I love to see that. That and him selling watermelons to white folks. In Pittsburgh, I like to see that.
I do want to try the salt on the watermelon.
Oh, it's good.
Oh, it's good? Mr. Jackson, you had the esteemed pleasure of playing Boy Willie. Boy Willie, excuse me. For the original stage play, and now you are in the future playing the uncle. So what for you has been the trajectory of how you've seen Boy Willie and now this role? How does that affect you as someone who's been in this space?
Well, there's a lot of transmogrification. Can't just throw it out there like that. All right, hold on. I had the great privilege to play the original Boy Willie in the Yale production. Only because Charles Dutton was doing Crocodile Dundee too. And I was also his understudy on Broadway, which led me to rehab, so he got me here. It was great. So watching it happen, when I was told I was going to be Joker on Broadway, I was also told, do not ever speak to John David about Boy Willie. So I did not. Yeah.
No snitch, John.
You asked, but I ain't saying that. And I went through that, and I remember, sitting there watching Carl when I was being Boy Willie and what that production was. But also knowing that I was going into a situation with a director that I'd known for a long time. And she just told me, take the note, leave me alone, take the note. And I said, okay, fine. So I tried to do that and move on through the play. And getting to the next place with this film and knowing that, things were going to happen or there would be things that we saw. But, you got a 3-hour play, you got to make a sort of 2-hour movie. So what's going to go? And being in it and watching it happen and feeling it and not missing the things that the play was for me through 2 productions was kind of great. And having seen several different iterations of different characters was really great for me also. I love watching Danielle. First day I saw her come down the stairs, like, okay, this is what we're doing. All right, cool. So that was like, okay, this is gonna be awesome. Try some new shit. Here we go. So getting that and having Corey, who I love, and I've done a couple films with Corey. So you know, we started calling Corey Black Bauer when we were doing Kong, because he was going to be Jack Bauer in 24. So he became Black Bauer for everybody. But brilliant actor, and you know, we honestly, when they were doing Top Dog Underdog, we couldn't see it because we were working. But I also knew that Corey was that guy that we needed in, you know, that production. Not that we didn't have a good one, but Corey's a different kind of energy that's genuine for all of us because he's like one of our brothers and we love him. And we had a great family of people when we did the play, and we had a great family of people when we did this film also, which was great because now you got a great family of people who are the crew and all these other people that you see every day that, you know, you interact with, and they become part of that whole family of people that we deal with, the way they put our clothes on us, the way they watch us, the way they participated or just stood there wrapped and watching the things that we did when we were doing them. You know, film's difficult because you don't have that immediate feedback you have from the audience when you're doing the play. When we're on stage, we can feel them sigh, we can hear them laugh, we can hear them, you know, mumble or say something back to us. We feel all that energy. When you're on a film set, it's quiet. You know, people don't applaud when you finish. You can, shit, I know I killed it. So there are things that you want that you don't get when you're doing that, but we gave it to each other because we were there. And it was great seeing each other every day.
When you talked about the family